session, let's discuss the first lesson in the second module of the text, Issues That Matter. This lesson, Persuasions on the Power of the Word, includes two essays. One on censorship by Salman Rushdie and Peril by Toni Morrison. Okay, let's discuss the first essay on censorship by Salman Rushdie. I know Salman Rushdie hardly needs any introduction. Still, before we begin with this essay, a few words on Salman Rushdie. Sir Ahmed Salman Rushdie, the only son of the Cambridge-educated businessman and school teacher in Mumbai, is an Indian-British essayist and novelist. He studied history at the University of Cambridge. After earning his master's degree from the Cambridge University, he lived in Pakistan for a brief period with his family. But soon he returned to England, where he worked as a copywriter for an advertising agency.
Human nature is the same everywhere, in all times, in all places, in all languages, under all political systems. And all discussions of liberty and its limitations must flow from that fact.
In 1975, Rushdie published his first book, Grimace, a fantasy and science fiction novel. His second novel, Midnight's Children, tells a story of India's complicated history. It was a critical and commercial success. It was awarded the Best of Bookers. In 1983, his novel Shame won the French Literary Prize. In 1988, Rushdie published his controversial novel, The Satanic Verses, a magical realistic story related to the life of Prophet Muhammad. Critics adored it. The book won the Whitbread Award for Novel of the Year and was a finalist for the Booker Prize. But at the same time, it drew criticism and condemnation from the Islamic world for its irreverent account of the Prophet. In many countries with a large Muslim population, the novel was banned. The spiritual leader of Iran even issued a fatwa, a death sentence against Rushdie. A bounty, a reward, was offered for Rushdie's death. So Rushdie went into hiding. To control the outrage, Rushdie issued a public apology and voiced his support for Islam. The heat around the Satanic Verses eventually cooled, and in 1988, Iran declared it would not support the fatwa. In spite of the controversy and death threats surrounding his famous novel, Satanic Verses, Rushdie continued writing. Rushdie's litany of honors and awards are considerable, including honorary doctorates and fellowships from 6 European universities and 6 American universities, and a knighthood as well. He was the president of the PEN, an American center that promotes free speech. PEN International is an acronym for playwrights, poets, essayists, editors, and novelists. It includes journalists and historians as well. Salman Rushdie has been a fierce defender of freedom of expression. Well, on Censorship is a lecture delivered by Salman Rushdie as part of the PEN World Voices Festival. In the first part of his essay on censorship, Rushdie says what censorship is. According to him, censorship is the thing that stops one from doing what one wants to do. So it is anti-creation, negative energy, and uncreation. Here, Salman Rushdie quotes the description of death given by the British playwright and screenwriter Tom Stoppard, absence of presence. He merges it in his essay, saying that censorship is the absence of voice. It kills the voice of the common man. Writers want to write about what they like as well as dislike. Here, censorship restricts this freedom of writers. Here, Rushdie refers to Shakespeare's play King Lear. In the first scene of King Lear tells Cordelia nothing will come of nothing. Here, King Lear asks his daughters to compete to show who loves him the most in an effort to win the largest share of his legacy, his property.
Tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, cares of state, which of you shall we say doth love us most?
Goneril and Regan, the two elder daughters, begin with a flattering speech, an obsequious speech in an attempt to ingratiate themselves to their father. But Cordelia, the youngest, is more honest. She claims in an aside. Aside, as you know, in drama, it's a comment by a character addressing only the audience. She claims there are no words sufficient to express her love for her father. So when King Lear asks her what she has to say, she simply says nothing. To this, King Lear responds saying, if she doesn't speak, she will not receive his favor. He says, nothing will come of nothing.
Nothing, my lord.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
King Lear's words are a warning to Cordelia, that is, either she must fulfill her father's demand for a flattering speech or risk losing her inheritance. Cordelia will gain no favors from him if she does not make elaborate speech saying she loves him. Paul Jennings, the British humorist, revises this quote, nothing will come of nothing, saying, no thing will come of nothing. You know, we cannot create anything from where there is nothing, because nothing represents there is no thing. Here, Paul Jennings divides the world into two categories, thing and no thing. Rushdie suggests thing is writing and no thing is censorship. Now, Rushdie brings in the example of air to illustrate the impact of censorship. You know, air is present all around us. It is present abundantly everywhere and is free of cost. Now, Rushdie introduces a scenario where air is supplied to us through giant pipes. Just imagine when these faucets, pipes are turned off, the availability of air thins, making it difficult, heavy to breathe. In such a situation, you know, many people will protest. Some people will condemn the reduction in their supply while others argue for the right to freely available air. What do you understand from this? It is actually scarcity that creates demand. When air is freely available in abundance all around us and even for the coming generations, it is unnecessary to demand it to be freely provided in sufficient quantity. Thus, we take it for granted just like any other natural resource. It is not even a subject for discussion and we ignore its presence and importance though we need it to live. Also, we do not make a fuss about it. Rushdie says freedom is like air. You know, we do not recognize its value until it is limited. In Rushdie's part of the world, some people are unable to breathe freely. They are the black youngsters wearing hoodies in Miami and women in red states trying to make choices about their own bodies. You know, hoodies here refers to concealing one's own identity. And as you know, disadvantaged women have been affected by some social and criminal justice policies restricting their reproductive freedom. You know, writers are often restricted, and what they feel once they are restricted is suffocation. Creativity is a product of freedom. We are free now and we assume that we'll be free tomorrow. Similarly, creative art too needs this freedom and an assumption of freedom. If the creative artist worries about his tomorrow's freedom, you know, he will not be free even today. If a writer is afraid of what he is to write or has written, definitely his writings will be ruled by fear and not by creative talents. You know, writings come up naturally because the writers are free. Once they are restricted, the writers won't be able to write from their bottom of heart. Their writings hence will be the product of anxieties and fears rather than truth and reason. You know, once censorship intrudes art, it makes it censored art. Such censored works are labeled as pornographic, blasphemous, immoral, or controversial. Such works are hung forever like albatrosses around the necks of cursed mariners. Here Rushdie refers to Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner tells a story of a sailor who stops a wedding guest on his way to a wedding reception and tells him a tale of a doomed ship. The mariner had killed an albatross that had become a good omen for his ship. When things began to turn awry, the distressed crew hung the dead albatross around the sailor's neck as a symbol of his sin. Salman Rushdie concludes his essay on censorship by citing a few censored works. Here are those censored works. Lady Chatterley's Lover, a novel by D.H. Lawrence, focuses on a malfunctioning marriage and a woman waking up to her own sexuality. The book was banned because it was deemed a threat to public morality. Now, Tropic of Cancer is a novel by Henry Miller published in 1934, banned for its explicit sexual content. Next is Last Tango in Paris, a 1972 Franco-Italian erotic drama film directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, who won an Academy Award nomination for Best Director. Many countries banned the film due to its graphic erotic content. Now the last one, A Clockwork Orange, a 1962 dystopian novel by Anthony Burgess about an ultraviolet group of teenagers that tended to aesthetize violence. It was later made into a film in 1972, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Thus, Salman Rushdie opposes censorship tooth and nail in his essay on censorship. As a writer who lived under the threat of fatwa, he knows the price that is paid for free speech. You know, art, when censored, always alters the original vision of the artist. So that's the end of the session. Thank you for watching.